Rwanda in the aftermath of the 1994 genocide was a scene of utter devastation. The streets were littered with debris and the once vibrant villages were now ghost towns, echoing with the silence of loss. The country lay in ruins, its economy shattered. Businesses that once thrived were now mere shells of their former selves, and the financial systems had collapsed, leaving the nation in dire straits. Over 1 million people were dead, victims of unimaginable violence. The mass graves and memorial sites stood as stark reminders of the horrors that had unfolded, a testament to the brutality that had swept through the land. Millions more were displaced, their homes and livelihoods destroyed. Families were torn apart and countless individuals found themselves in refugee camps, struggling to survive in the face of overwhelming adversity. The very fabric of society had been torn apart, leaving behind a legacy of trauma and despair. Communities that once thrived on unity and cooperation were now fragmented, grappling with the psychological scars left by the genocide. The challenges facing Rwanda were immense. Rebuilding a nation from such profound devastation required not only physical reconstruction but also emotional and social healing. The new government, led by Paul Kagame, faced the daunting task of rebuilding a nation from ashes. Kagame and his team had to instill hope and confidence in a population that had seen the worst of humanity. Basic infrastructure lay in ruins. Roads, bridges and public buildings were either destroyed or severely damaged, making transportation and communication nearly impossible. Hospitals and schools were destroyed or non-existent. The healthcare system was in crisis, unable to provide even the most basic services, and the education system had collapsed, leaving a generation without access to learning. The agricultural sector, the backbone of the economy, was in shambles. Farms were abandoned, crops were destroyed, and food shortages were rampant, exacerbating the already dire situation. The task seemed insurmountable. The sheer scale of the destruction and the depth of the societal wounds made the prospect of recovery seem almost impossible. Yet, amidst the ruins, a glimmer of hope emerged. The Rwandan people, known for their resilience and determination, refused to be defined by their tragic past. They began to come together, working tirelessly to rebuild their communities and their lives. They possessed a deep-seated belief in their ability to rebuild their lives and their nation. Community meetings became a common sight where people shared their hopes and plans for a better future. This spirit of resilience, coupled with visionary leadership, would prove to be the catalyst for Rwanda's remarkable transformation. Kagame's government implemented policies aimed at fostering unity and development, setting the stage for a new era. The world watched with cautious optimism. International aid began to flow in, and global attention was focused on Rwanda's efforts to rebuild and heal. Could Rwanda, a nation so deeply wounded, rise from the ashes and forge a new path? The question lingered in the minds of many, but the determination of the Rwandan people suggested that a brighter future was possible. The answer, as history would soon reveal, was a resounding yes. Through sheer willpower, strategic planning and international support, Rwanda began to transform. The modern cityscape of Kigali and the thriving communities across the country stand as a testament to the nation's incredible journey from devastation to hope. The Rwandan government, under President Kagame's leadership, embarked on an ambitious program of national reconstruction and economic reform. This journey was not just about rebuilding infrastructure, but also about healing the deep wounds left by the past. Recognizing the need for unity and reconciliation, they implemented a policy of forgiveness and national dialogue. This policy encouraged open conversations among communities, fostering a sense of shared responsibility and collective healing. This involved confronting the horrors of the past while fostering a shared vision for the future. Memorial sites became places of reflection and learning, ensuring that the memories of those lost were honored and that the lessons of history were not forgotten. Central to Rwanda's economic strategy was a focus on good governance and zero tolerance for corruption. The government understood that without a strong and transparent governance framework, sustainable development would be impossible. The government implemented strict measures to ensure transparency and accountability in all sectors. This included regular audits, public declarations of assets by officials, and stringent anti-corruption laws. This created a stable and predictable environment that attracted foreign investment and fostered economic growth. Investors from around the world began to see Rwanda as a promising destination for their ventures. Recognizing the limitations of its small size and lack of natural resources, Rwanda adopted an outward-looking economic policy. By focusing on exports and international trade, the country aimed to integrate itself into the global economy. The government invested heavily in education and technology, aiming to transform Rwanda into a knowledge-based economy. Schools and universities were equipped with modern facilities, and technology centers were established to foster innovation and entrepreneurship. They actively sought partnerships with international investors, positioning Rwanda as a gateway to the East African market. This strategic positioning allowed Rwanda to leverage its geographical location for economic advantage. These bold reforms, driven by a clear vision and unwavering determination, laid the foundation for Rwanda's economic miracle. Infrastructure projects such as roads, bridges, and airports were developed to support the growing economy. The world watched in awe as a nation once synonymous with tragedy transformed itself into a beacon of hope and progress. Rwanda's story became an inspiration, showing that with resilience, vision, and unity, even the most challenging obstacles can be overcome.